Boom! What's up, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host, A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. Listen, we are going to have a amazing conversation today. It's a different kind of space that I've never stepped into, never even knew really existed, but it's definitely needed. And when I found out about this organization and this brother, my man, Mr. Carl Root, he is going to really break down some things that it's going to blow everybody's mind, you know, because as men, we're going to talk about dads and infants, in mortality rate of infants and how dads are connected to that, um, even connected to breastfeeding and how dads play a part in that. We're going to dig into a different space. I'm sure none of y'all have ever been in. So we're going to really, this is going to be a great conversation. So get your questions ready. Tag somebody, tag a brother that got a newborn. Get them in this conversation. Put some names up, inbox them, spam them, let them know, get them in here because we're going to have a great conversation. This is an organization I've never seen myself. And it's funny, I was talking to them, and, like when you get something or you get into a new space, um, that, that you're thinking that you may be the only ones, when you get in, you find others. So I asked him, so he said, there are some, he said, there are a few, but it's not a lot. And this is definitely going to be some great education. So I need you to prepare your minds to get this information, because I'm sure he's going to hit you with some statistics that you probably never even thought about. Let's see. All right, diapers in wipes gang. What's up, my brother? I don't know your name, so put your name up. He said, I'm here to support my guy. I guess either me or Mr. Carl. Okay, shaking his head, so he knows. He knows. All right, awesome, awesome. Put your name up. Appreciate you being here. Jeff in the building. Good morning. Mama McCory, as always. Lisa, thank you for always being a blessing and sharing. Richard, what up? Richard Faye in the building. So, make sure you guys share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. And what I need you to do, as well, share, join our text community. If you're in the YouTube space, it's a little lighter than this, but make sure you hit that button, hit that like button, and make sure you are letting the YouTube algorithms know that it's going down here with the Brothers of Legacy. All right. So I'm not gonna hold you guys. I got Method Man, aka Kaneem Curvey, in the building. So we're gonna get him on, and we're definitely gonna get Mr. Carl Root. And he has a pretty impressive resume, but the thing that he's here to speak about is Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere. Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere. He is the program director, community transformer, and Wisdom Council member. He is connected to the Morehouse School of Medicine. He's been part of My Brother's Keeper, the Fulton County Task Force, started by Barack Obama, if you don't know. I'm interested in that as well, but we can maybe talk about that later or off camera. So, um, and he's actually was on the OWN network, Oprah Winfrey Network, on a segment called Our America. So he's got some past stuff that he's been through, and we're going to talk about how he got into the Robe organization as well. So let's go ahead and kick this off. I'm not going to even hold it. Let's put this up so everybody know what we're talking about. Just make it basic. So make sure to tag somebody, tag a new dad, Because one thing, real talk, we need information. If it's your first child, oh yeah, what you got? Let me know. I don't have no idea. I just don't want to kill the kid. I'm just, just trying. I don't know. I don't know what to do. We have no idea. And it's funny. We don't, unless you're in like a good circle, you don't really have those conversations. You don't. There's no real dad talk out until they're like teenagers. You like pulling your hair. I don't know. And it's gonna be me and him. That's all I need to know. It's gonna, outside of that, we kind of fumbling, you figuring it out. You like, I think they got it. Maybe they catching on. So definitely the support is necessary. The education is necessary. So we're talking about dads and infants. All right, so let's go. Let's go ahead and get this thing popping. All right, do this. 30 seconds. Let's go. Share.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
Bam. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, Kaneem? Good morning.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, how y'all feeling this morning?
All is well.
Good, great, good and getting better.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, indeed.
Feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
All right. So as you can see, we have our guest on, Mr. Carl Root, and he made sure to put the pronunciation of his last name, so don't jack it up. You can clearly see what it is, and I appreciate him for that. So we can definitely start jumping into dads and infants. And like I said, Kaneem's a dad and a granddad. Having your first child, because that's the most nerve wracking. Because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm bringing a life into this world. I just don't want to jack him up. Like I don't know what I'm doing. And even if you read a book, you just like, the books is just doesn't seem relevant. I need to get the wisdom from other people, organizations, and things of that nature. So I want to dig into, dads and the infant mortality rate and our correlation, because a lot of the infant portion, hey, good morning, Sam. A lot of that is left on the mom. Most of that responsibility we put in the mom space. So when it comes to dads, what's our role, or how deep should we be getting when it comes to infants and their mortality? Like what are some of the things that we don't know?
Brother AD, I take it that's a question for me. What are some of the things that we don't know?
Yes,
we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
Most of us that are dads, and I have been a dad for over 40 some years.
Okay.
Married for almost 40 years.
Yes,
married
indeed.
in 1986
Yes.
to the wife of my youth. Still married.
Nice.
7 adult children, a blended family, because as you know, the statistics here in the United States is 1 out of 2 marriages end in divorce. So I have a blended family.
All right.
And
all right.
My wife had 3 children from a previous marriage. I had 1 child, and then we had 3 together.
All right.
So a complex blend of family relationships. However,
Yes.
Love the work that we do. Again, you see that I put the appropriate pronunciation for my last name there, because my last name is Rout. In Georgia, in Baton Rouge, is pronounced Rout. In Los Angeles, California, it's Rute. In South Georgia, it's Root. So I sometimes introduce myself as Carl Lewis Root Route Rute Jr.
All right.
He covered the whole United States, didn't he? I don't care where your Ebonics is from. I got you covered.
Okay, come on with it. And, I crashed the family reunion. And I'm saying all this to say that the importance of responsible fatherhood, because when I went in the first grade, 6 years old, into a classroom, and that teacher, they call the roll.
Right.
My name, they went, Carl, how do you pronounce that name? Guess what? I didn't know. Because my daddy didn't live with us. He didn't tell us. And my mama barely knew him because he was in the military. So I went home. I'll never forget it. I went home that day embarrassed as all get out.
Right.
I couldn't pronounce my own last name. And I said, Mama, how do you pronounce this ugly last name? Now, it's ugly to me now. Why? Because Daddy ain't around. The man that gave it to me. I'm Junior. Okay. So anyway,
and you Junior.
I say that. Go ahead.
I say, and you Junior.
I am Junior, okay?
Okay.
I'm stuck with this brand. Okay. I'd rather have been Nike Junior.
Yes, indeed.
I'm stuck with this brand. So I figured as a little boy, my name Carl Lewis Root Jr. sounds important.
Right.
Somebody named me after them, kind of like Henry III, Henry IV.
Right.
I figured it was that kind of thing.
Right.
But lo and behold, this man was gone.
Right.
We were stuck out here in poverty, and I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce the last name. So I say all that to say this. I came into this work with that story, with a passion, because I wanted no other young man to experience that kind of embarrassment,
Right.
especially, you know how mean our children can be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When you don't have on the latest gear or you
Yes.
smell bad.
Right.
That they don't know that you ain't got soap at the house or the water might
Right.
be off. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
but they'll be mean and cruel. And they
Yes.
were mean and cruel. They called me out of my name. They called me my last name, Root. They called me
Right.
Rutabaga. Or
Wow.
down south, there's a practice of religion called roots.
Right.
So they
Right.
figured maybe, you know, this boy's strange, you
Right.
know, all of that. But anyway,
Wow.
I said that I don't want another young man to feel that. So I dedicated my life, y'all, at a very
Right.
early age
Right.
to making sure that the young men in my circle were taken care of. And that was a bunch of us without our daddies.
Right.
We formed a gang,
Wow.
a swim team first,
Okay.
and then we
Okay.
became a gang
Okay.
because we started figuring out how to survive.
Wow.
But responsible fatherhood, role, reaching our brothers everywhere, where I am the director of community engagement.
Right.
We target organizations, male serving organizations, because our strong suit, our mission, which is something unique, AD mentioned it already. Our mission is to educate, equip, and empower men
Mm-hmm.
to impact an increase in breastfeeding rates in
Yes.
the African American community and a decrease in infant mortality rates
Right.
in the African American community. Why the African American community? Because our mothers and babies die at twice, sometimes 3 times the rate of other communities.
Yes.
And it's simply because of lack of access to care,
Mm.
also disparities and inequities in the healthcare system itself.
Right.
A lot of our young girls, especially our young women, we have a lot of babies having babies.
Right.
And what they've done is they put us in a box and they
Yes.
serve all of our young women the same way with the same indignities. They don't offer them breastfeeding education, which is the most beneficial for mothers and babies. You'll be
Right.
surprised when I begin to tell you some of the benefits as it relates to breast cancer and ovarian cancers and diabetes and heart disease and all of the things, the respiratory conditions and things that are prevented, risks that are lowered simply from breastfeeding.
Right.
Because
Okay.
breastfeeding, what? It's the way you feed your babies.
Mm.
I ask
Okay.
most young brothers, because I do a lot of work with teen fathers,
Right.
what do you think the breasts are made for? You should hear some of the answers. But when they get the knowledge of the importance of breast milk, the
Right.
fact that breast milk is the way to feed a baby.
Right.
Human milk, milk is species specific.
Right.
Our babies should not be drinking cow's milk.
Mm.
Cows drink cow's milk.
Right.
Sheep
Right.
drink sheep's milk. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We should be doing that, you know, and we do it anyway. Why? Because in a capitalistic society where we place profit over people,
Right.
if I've got a bunch of slaves that are in the house breastfeeding and I need cotton to be picked, I'm going to find another way to keep them in the field.
Right.
And formula was one of those ways to get the women back in the field.
Mm.
All right.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
what happens is, especially in the Black community, our women are considered commodities for the most part, you know, because they were used back during slavery as wet nurses.
Right. Right.
All right. And wet nursing is where that enslaved woman would be required to feed that slave master's woman baby.
Right.
And so a lot of our women, once we came up,
Right.
you know, they figured it. A lot of our women figured it was coming up when you no longer had to breastfeed
Right.
because of the wet nursing history of the slave woman. Now,
Gotcha.
I want women, they feel like, okay, I'm coming up. I can afford to buy formula now.
Mm.
Formula is expensive, you guys.
Right.
Milk,
Understand.
milk is almost free,
Right.
especially from the breast.
Right.
So we've created a toolkit to help brothers to understand how you save time, money, doctor's visits, and a whole lot of other things just by encouraging your woman to breastfeed.
Okay.
Man.
Okay.
I want
Okay.
to go back to my story because preconception is
Right.
where we miss the boat. This is where we get a lot of flack, Black
Right.
men, as not being there in preconception. Please believe it. They figure that we are deadbeat dads, that we are not necessarily there for our families, and all of that is outright lie. Okay, and we have the statistic to prove it. Black men are more involved than any other race of men with their children at a much more frequent rate, regardless of divorce, separation, incarceration, which we suffer from a lot, and regardless of all of those barriers that impede our progress in the family relationship area, Black men strive the most to make sure that they get to see their children.
Right.
And I wanted to go to preconception because in relationships, and we must do better. All of us must do better in relationships.
Okay, hold on one second.
Yeah.
Let me I'm gonna get Pastor on, and then I want you to really dig into that. All right.
Okay.
Good morning, Pastor. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody?
Morning.
Go ahead. Keep talking, Carl. Go ahead, man. Do your thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, in those relationships, we must do better about relationships. We go into relationships all willy-nilly.
Right.
And we must be more serious about it because guess what? This is a life-changing experience.
Right.
So from the mission of ROAD, Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere, which we are developing rites of passage for brothers who are talking about relationships and marriage. This is serious business. And then when you begin to talk about infant mortality rates, maternal mortality rates, and our mothers and babies dying at higher rates than other communities, that's a reflection on us as men.
Right.
And I think that as we stand in our rightful places and we protect and provide and prepare in our homes, prepare our children for the future, protect our resources and provide the kind of food, clothing, and shelter and education and those things that are necessary for us to move successfully into the future, it creates a different kind of a manimal.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like a man that feels like he's handling his business, man. You walk with a different swag, you know. Definitely. And that's what we're about at ROAD. Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere. We want to equip our brothers to be able to be better in relationships. So we do something similar to this podcast. Every second and fourth Thursday, we have what is called Boy, Man, Father sessions, where men come together and we talk about our issues. We talk about our resolutions. We talk about how we solve issues. We troubleshoot. You know, we talk about things that have went on in the past and how we can correct them. We don't dwell on the issues and the problems. We don't come to the table with a deficit. We come to the table declaring ourselves equal to all humanity and move forward in that same way. What's good for people is good for people. And that's the way we operate. Food, clothing, shelter, good for all people.
Right.
So we move in that vein as it relates to infant mortality and maternal mortality, because our women and children, guess what? In the United States, one of the most civilized nations in the world, number 3, as a matter of fact. But guess what? Way at the bottom as it relates to maternal child health. Way at the bottom, and there's no need for that. One of the most economically enriched nations in the world. And there are some things that should not exist, but because of capitalism, we find that because we place profit over people, our mothers and babies are dying. And that's simply because when we go to our young women go to the hospitals, they're not really given the kind of dignified respect and treatment. The healthcare professionals, for the most part, especially those in the majority of certain political persuasions, they put our young women in a box and say, oh, here's another young girl, probably ain't got a husband, out of wedlock birth. And they say, well, just give her some formula and get her out of here. Gotcha. But no breastfeeding, no understanding of why breastfeeding is important, no understanding of the benefits of breastfeeding, not only for the baby, but for the mother.
So
that's where we come in.
So one of the so basically you guys are trying to, in one of the programs at least, you're trying to encourage men to push more of the breastfeeding narrative. It's just like if I have a wife or a girlfriend, we have a child, kind of encourage more breastfeeding than the formula, basically. So if we're educated, then we know what's going on, and we can encourage our wives or girlfriends to do the same. That's basically what you're saying?
That's
Okay.
exactly right. One of the
Okay.
biggest, our children die from being premature or low birth weight
Okay.
for the most part. And NEC, necrotizing, it'll come back, it'll come to me. But right now, there's a big lawsuits all over because Black babies are being impacted by this thing. It's killing our babies, and it's directly connected to formula. Because see, formula, anything in powder can be easily contaminated. And we've got babies fixing babies' bottles today.
Right.
And that's really not safe, and it's not sanitary. And a lot of our babies are getting sick. Our babies are dying, y'all, from this NEC.
Wow.
And there have been many lawsuits, but what they have found is the African American babies are dying more than any other community. So now this organization that founded us, Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere, where Dr. Key Marie Bug is a major authority. She works with the Morehouse School of Medicine and several other health serving organizations, but she is an authority on breastfeeding. As a matter of fact, she got 2 sets of twins. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, right. and one just graduated from Berkeley with his PhD in physics or something. But she is an authority on breastfeeding, and I'm just saying that as evidence, she breastfed all of her children. She is almost a poster child for the benefits of breastfeeding. So she began this organization, Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere, which went after the United States government and the health serving agencies, Health and Human Services, and all these other national agencies, saying that, listen, we want to level the playing field. We don't want equality. We want equity, because equality is like we're both standing at a fence trying to look at a game, and both of us have a bucket, but I'm only 5 feet and you're 7 feet. So your bucket, you can see over the fence. I'm only 5 feet, and our buckets are the same height. They're equal, but yet it doesn't allow me to be able to look up over them. Okay, so that's good. The organization that founded us, Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere, said, listen, one of our funders came to us and said, if we could get men to do what you all are doing, they will fund us. So that's why Rogue is in existence. Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere. And we are doing it out here in this space because, again, there are so few male serving organizations that are specifically focusing on what we're focusing on. And that's breastfeeding, increase in breastfeeding rate, decrease in infant mortality rates.
Right. And, all right. I got you. That's a lot, because, like I said in the beginning, when you're having a child, it's not a lot of conversations. Like at least for me, I didn't get around with some other guys and talk about having a baby and what I should be doing and what's important, what's not important, and I don't know if my other brothers they had that similar situation.
No, man, I was listening to call and it kind of put a light bulb on me. How do you? I know it's reaching our brothers everywhere, but for those young, because I was a teenage father. I was 18 when I had my first child. So how would you reach the youth who have children in their teenage years and try to promote them to encourage their teenage partner who is about to be a mother? How would you encourage that for those that are young and pretty much still a child themselves?
Right.
I love that question. Thank you so much. We did a lot of work with Fulton County Teen Dads Program. Fulton County had a program that started back in 1991 called the Call to Manhood, which they would lock up for a weekend in the government complex for a weekend, spend $750,000 for that weekend teaching conflict resolution, and anti-aggression type things like that. But it wasn't very effective. So they morphed to a Call to Manhood Teen Dads program because Fulton County alone had more than 10,000 teen dads at that time. So they created a program to address those issues. And it was the Call to Manhood Teen Dads program for young men 13 to 19 years of age. Wow. Now, listen, brothers, 13 to 19, we were young, dumb, and trying to get some, right? Yeah. We weren't really concerned about responsible fatherhood or not boyhood or none of that stuff. But because of that program, Fulton County gave us an opportunity to mentor young men who had children. Now, most of these young men were doing grown men things. You know what I mean? If you got a baby, you're doing grown men things. Right. So we get them in the room and we talk to them. But the way we reach them is this. We groomed young men. Like right now, we have a young man, our youngest member is like 26 years old. And he teach classes to young men like himself. He has a couple of children. So he talks about how he came through, the rite of passage that he came through with the Teen Dads program. Okay. And in the Teen Dad program, what we do is we teach them. We've been using the 24/7 dad curriculum. However, I've been doing this work so long that God has given me an opportunity to be able to the greatest content from several different curriculums and compile my own.
Okay.
And after years of research and what you call experiential learning, because I learned long ago that you can learn. Experience is the best teacher, but I don't have to go out there and get shot to know what it feels like to be shot. I can talk to Brother AD if he's been shot and say, man, what did that feel like? And I can pretty much have that experience. So what we do, man, is we use those peer relationships.
Okay.
Young man talking with another young man about breastfeeding because we're grooming them, succession planning. And it works. We found that it works effectively, just like in martial arts. When you get that white belt, you got to teach to get your other belt. You got to teach the group below you, right?
Right.
So, and it's very effective. We employ that same tactic. So we teach the young men to teach the young men. Gotcha. And these guys are better fathers than, you know what, y'all? These guys get up and change the baby at night. They feed the baby. They know about breastfeeding.
Right. Okay. It becomes important.
We didn't know about stuff like this.
It becomes a priority. I definitely, I love that. Sam does have an interesting question. She asked, I understand breastfeeding should be important, but what happens when that's not an option? What happens when that's not an option?
Okay. That's a very good question because there are medical reasons that some women cannot breastfeed. Right. Now, please know this. It's a scientific fact that breastfeeding is the optimal way to feed your baby.
Right.
Okay. And that's evidence-based, research-based. Gotcha. However, again, there are some medical reasons that some women can't breastfeed. But guess what? We have human milk banks because human milk is good for the human baby. There are human breast milk banks. There are ways that, because technology has changed so much, some women have what is called an inverted nipple, and it's hard for the baby to latch.
Gotcha.
Well, there's technology that can even help a woman to be able to evert that nipple. Gotcha. There's also supplemental feeding devices that can help even a child who has a cleft palate. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Because there are some reasons that the baby can't breastfeed because of a physical. You know what I mean? They can't latch on because of certain, but there's technology that can help. So what is happening is the movement is this. We're normalizing breastfeeding.
I got you.
Because it has the formula company.
Formula should be like a very, very, very last resort or not a thing at all. It's an alternative that we should only have to reach for if we really
just
really,
like
really
a C-section. It should be the
very lasting, right. That's
if you got a medical issue, then formula should be
C-section also is a major operation. That's major surgery. And guess what? Most of our women get it.
It is true.
And it shouldn't be like that, y'all.
Yeah.
That's major surgery.
Right.
But
Right.
because sometimes that doctor may have a vacation planned
Mm.
and he wants to go ahead and get that baby that's due done. And if it's a young black girl, they'll do a C-section when it's not medically necessary. And these are the confrontations that we have with the medical establishment, because a lot of things, practices, and procedures are taking place that, guess what, we know not about. Brothers, I implore you to please pick up the book Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington, and it's research about the way medical schools procured bodies to do, the practice on.
Right.
And they didn't think it was dignified to practice on white bodies, so they practiced on black bodies.
Right. Right.
Slaves who had gotten too old to work anymore. They would sell them to the medical schools. Right. Augusta, Georgia was one of the biggest, that medical school was one of the biggest culprits. But I say that to say this, talking about the indignities that our women suffer, talk about the disparities, talking about the lack of real dignified care that our women receive. I'm so glad to be in this space as men. Again, you asked the question, are there many men in this space? Well, we've done our 6th summit. Rose does a summit every year. They've done 11, our founding organization, and we've done 6 summits. And we always invite fatherhood practitioners, doctors, OBGYN folk, medical practitioners, so that we can talk to them about how they can support us and lift us up in lifting up other black men to address this issue, because it's bleeding and we got to stop the bleeding. Maternal and infant mortality rates in our neighborhoods, y'all, killing us.
I got you. So I'm so Sam has a point of concern, and I hear I hear on it. She says, I feel like as a man, that's an easy statement to make as far as making formula last and all the medical treatment or things that be changed, like, because if you weigh it out, like, do we do an operation or do I just give my child formula? Like, so it's those options. And I understand the toxicity of formula and the issues that that can arise from formula, but it's like, who wants to have surgery, and it's on them. So let me ask you this: is there, and I guess in the sister group that started, is the parent group to Robe, do they have like the programs or ways to have these discussions as far as the options when breastfeeding is not it, or it's difficult or it's challenging? Because like I said, in life, when you find out I can't, then you just like, well, just go get some formula, because that's kind of how we started. There was issues like, well, we just got to do formula until we can try to get this right, or maybe not, and just sticking to the formula. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like I said, it's the time, it's the risk, because any surgery, there's a risk, So I feel a point. I understand, because it is easy. Because even us together, I was like, well, I'll go get some formula until we can figure this out. We'll find the right formula that works till we can figure this out. So with that being said, do you guys offer the educational opportunities or things to connect with in order to reach these alternatives?
Most definitely. Trust me, that is one of the most, we talk about this a lot, because guess what? Women are not the only one that are breastfeeding today. You've got all kinds of, do you know that men can produce milk?
No, you got me on that one.
Right.
Yeah. All mammals. This is research and evidence based. All mammals can produce milk. What is a man? A mammal.
Wow.
Now, there are, of course, now we have the LGBTQIA community. We've got the technology now that, you probably never heard of relactation when the formula shortage happened not too long ago. You remember that?
Right.
You
Yes.
talking about the formula shortage?
Yeah, formula
Right.
shortage. Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah.
People started talking about
It's still kind of,
relactating.
Yeah.
People started talking about relactating. These grandmamas
Wow.
and older women still can, produce milk.
Right.
Some grandmamas are feeding their daughters, babies now. But also, again, I mentioned the LGBTQIA community. They're, in their relationships,
Right. Interesting.
male on male or female on female.
Right.
In some instances in our ecosystem, you have two women, both of them breastfeed their baby.
Right. Well, I mean, I get
Okay.
that.
And for the men, the technology, the science has changed so much that guess what? We are changing the language from breastfeeding to chest feeding.
I want to say this. I think I'm so grateful for all of this information. So grateful for all. The Lord has blessed me with 5 children, and all 5 of them were breastfed.
Awesome.
Praise God.
I was, when I decided to become a father, I already knew that's what I wanted for my children. So I would have conversations about it. So all 5 of mine were breastfed. In fact, even to Samantha's point earlier, I remember my wife and I trying to supplement her breast milk with formula.
Okay.
And that's how we discovered that our daughter was allergic to dairy.
Wow.
The formula was a bad decision.
Wow.
And the breast milk was healthier for our children. I have 2 children that are non-dairy children, and we attempted to supplement with breast milk, and we almost killed one of our babies. I'm not saying that that's what formula does. I'm just saying.
Right. No, I get it.
It was validated to me that breast milk wins every time. I know that everybody can't do it. I've also experienced an inverted nipple, and you're right. You can get past it. I think the biggest challenge when it comes to breastfeeding is schedule. It's logistics.
Yeah.
It's not health. It's health as it relates to what a woman puts in her body.
Hey, good morning, Keita.
Right?
Yeah.
Many women don't breastfeed because of the things they put in their body that they don't want to go into their baby's body.
Right. 100%.
And they prefer eating and drinking what they want to eat and drink, and use formula. Right. And then working mothers, it becomes an issue. Right. Having to take time out to pump because breastfeeding means the milk will continue to produce.
Right.
And if you don't release it, that's going to be a problem. Right. It's a comfort issue for a mother. Yeah. So as 100%. Men, I think what I hear Brother Carl saying is that we have to make sure we provide an environment that is conducive,
100%,
that is supportive, an infrastructure that is supportive for our women, so we don't get that. Why are men talking about breastfeeding? Right. Men should be talking about breastfeeding because men are the head of the household. Right. Indeed. And if and part of my responsibility as a provider is to provide an environment, safe, and nurturing, for the mother and my children. Definitely. So I think, and I think the problem is we've been absent because of ignorance. We don't understand these things. So it's good that you have conversations like this, brother. And I appreciate Robe. It's a great organization. I'm becoming familiar with it, and I like what you all are doing. But I wanted to pause here for just a minute because honestly, I know we have to speak to every crowd, but biblically speaking, this is Brian. Brian's not getting ready to get on here and talk about men breastfeeding babies. Just ain't gonna do it. Brian is not getting ready to get on here and talk about the LGBTQIA LMNOP as it relates to breastfeeding and all, because everybody wants it. Everybody's desire, everybody's choice is theirs.
100%.
But I have my own personal convictions, right? And so I'll sit quietly, or I will turn my video off while we talk about that stuff. I'm willing to hear it, listen, but I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to entertain it because it's against my own personal principle. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay. Oh,
And that's very real. I appreciate that.
I got you.
But let me
I
say
was,
this. Go ahead.
no, I was just I heard what Brian said, and I was looking at some of the comments, but I still want to hear more about this man breastfeeding myself. I'm curious to, because I never heard it before until you spoke it today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
in September of 2022,
Right.
and so the research and the information. Like I didn't even know that was possible.
Right.
Like it was a thing. So speak on, brother. I'm interested to hear some more.
I mean,
about milk coming out of
about
men
breastfeeding or the possibility, or if it's even if the men are capable because they are mammals. Like I was,
right.
That was interesting.
But is that what you want? You want men breastfeeding?
It ain't about what I want. I want to hear more information
about it.
Yeah, I want to hear more information about it because I've never heard it before. And if this gentleman has information, research,
I'm with
facts, or anything like that, I would like to hear more about it.
I'm with you.
Google it.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Go ahead, brother Carl.
AD, do your thing, AD.
You want me to do it? I got you. For you. I got you. He's in the space right now. We're gonna release him. Let him do his thing.
But look, we let you guys look. They are experts in the field. I'm not an expert on that particular subject matter. Right. However, in our ecosystem, we do have to deal with it.
Yes, indeed.
Because in the spirit of Jedi, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, we talk with everybody. And of course, I have my own personal preferences about the way I choose to proceed or to do business. I choose to be inclusive for my own learning because, like you said, brother, you didn't know anything about this, but because people are seeking equality, you got men out there seeking to breastfeed the chest, and they want to call it chest feeding, and they want to call it, instead of mamas being they want to say birthing person. So the language is changing, and a whole lot is going on, and that's something new for us, the brothers at Roll, because they are organizations out there that have people that are actually engaging in that activity. So we allow them to speak to groups like this.
I think that inclusion is critical. We live in an open world, and we have to be open for people to be who they believe they've been called to be. I absolutely agree with that. And I don't have to agree with every topic, but I do believe that every topic has to be explored. I absolutely agree with that. And I wouldn't shut the door on anything like that. I wanted to make it clear to the people who know me that being a part of a conversation does not necessarily mean I support what is being talked about. I just wanted to make that clear. So I was teasing Kaneem.
I feel you, Pastor. I feel you.
Okay. I mean, this is a different space. We don't venture into a lot of and I never want to be blinded to every aspect of what's going on around us. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't, a lot of times we get in our cocoons and we have our belief systems, and we just kind of stick in the space and never want to hear it. Like, I don't have to agree with it, but I'm open to at least hear it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'll admit, like, my platform won't reach but so far, but I will at least like those that go into those spaces, presenting the information, so at least I try to be open to the information. And Kaneem, thank you for at least, you're curious, you asked, like, hey, you brought it up, let's kind of talk about it a little bit.
It's something that I hadn't even thought about it. Like it didn't come to my mind. So when I heard it, I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's actually a possibility. Like,
so you never, ever had any moisture on your chest in your life?
Disrespectful now. I'm about I'm trying to hold it in.
No. Listen. You have to see, if you're going to be open to the conversation, you have to be open to this part too, because the reality is that has happened with men. Were they wondering where this? What is?
Well, that too. I mean, I've that's never happened. I don't remember it ever happened to me, or maybe never paid attention to it. But I mean, I get what you're saying.
Since you brought it up, have your chest ever got moist, Mr. Brian?
Yes.
So you have had milk come from your nipple.
I didn't say it was milk. I just said
my bad.
I've had something. I'm saying I'm getting educated here also.
But
what I'm saying is
Carl is talking about. Carl is talking about breastfeeding. That is nutrients that are going from a man to his child.
Right.
And I'm saying I never heard that before.
Right.
And when you say your chest get moist, I'm still thinking we talking about breastfeeding, not sweat. So I mean, now if I'm sweating, my chest moist. But my question is,
I'm talking about a man
platform right now. These four gentlemen, have any
secretion coming from a man's nipple can happen.
Okay. Has any of us had milk come from our nipples? It's four gentlemen.
Like I said, I don't know of. I don't.
Well, remember this: when a woman first starts to breastfeed, the first thing that comes out isn't milk.
Right.
It's colostrum.
That's right.
But I'm talking about the men.
I know, but what I'm saying is, it may not necessarily be milk,
right?
But it's
liquid.
Gotcha.
And has the liquid ever came out of your nipple?
The point is,
okay.
The point is this. The point is this: you are capable of making milk.
I got you. Okay.
A man is capable of making milk because he's a mammal, and if he allows a baby to suck on it, the more milk is released, the more milk is produced. Most men don't allow babies at their breast. They call it at chest feeding or supplemental breastfeeding. Where they use a device. To
I got
other than the nipple on the man's.
I got you.
So but we're still learning about this particular aspect of supporting breastfeeding because we're trying to get the brothers to embrace, breastfeeding. But we're coming. There's all this other information that's coming in.
Yeah.
And because I'm studying right now, both me and my lead person is studying to be a certified lactation counselor.
Gotcha.
So we will actually coach women on breastfeeding.
I got you.
So we're learning a whole lot. And I tell you what, y'all, it is life-changing because guess what? Our mothers, the health of our mothers represent the health of our nation. And the health of our babies represent the future health of our nation.
Indeed. All right. Mr. Carl, I appreciate you being here, man. I appreciate you sharing a whole lot. So you guys can go to breastfeedingrobe.org and to find out more information. Like I said, this is a different space and it's a great conversation. And a lot of these things need to be had. We got a lot of stuff happening around us that we need to have a lot of these conversations, and they're not going to be always the most comfortable. So I appreciate you guys for hanging with us. I didn't lose everybody. So I always, as we go down certain paths, I watch my numbers like, they checked out. Okay, they're checking out too. Right? Okay, so I appreciate you guys. Right. So what happened to them Cowboys? So I appreciate you guys for being here. Mr. Carl, thank you for sharing in your time, man. Thank you for being on. And like I said, you guys want to find out more, go to breastfeedingrobe.org. And like I like some of the mentoring aspects of it, the preconception, the teaching for other men and women coming together, just importance. Because like I said, we may go to like the birthing classes and things like that. But we don't know much about what we should do once the baby's here, the infant care and stuff like that. We do pattern after watching mom do her thing. Cause that's how I learned, watching Sam do her thing. I'm like, okay, let's, following after that to understand what the baby needs and be comfortable. When you get your first time alone with your child, like, okay, it's me and you. Like we're going to do this thing. We're going to be good. We're going to have a good night, So it's that education before child, your baby gets here, makes you more comfortable. Like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm not You know, because the first time, let's keep it real. Yo, if you're like, okay, so keep the head. Oh wait, things of that nature. Just being comfortable, and it goes into everything. Just being comfortable, and like Pastor says, setting a place where the mother can be comfortable as well for the baby, and breastfeeding if it's possible, and things of that nature. So these are all conversations that we need to continuously have because our community needs to have it. All right. So appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you for always supporting. Make sure you are continuously sharing and staying apart. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. You're watching The Brothers Legacy. I don't even know if I want to ask all hearts and mind and clear. We're just gonna close out. We just
I got something to say.
Hey, my mind blown. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
listen.
wow.
Let me say this to you, bro. Here's the thing. Be mad at me if you want to. I personally believe that we have enough issues with role confusion in our community.
Right.
Men wanting to be women, women wanting to be men.
Yeah.
And so the last thing I want to talk about is a breastfeeding man. Because those that are trying to do it are not masculine. And science is trying to change to make it possible.
But that too.
So that they can do all the things that a woman does.
100%.
And what I'm saying is, as much as that might be possible, that's not the conversation I want to have when I'm talking to men. The conversation I want to have when I'm talking to men is help your wife.
Right.
Make sure you have an environment that is suitable for her to do the mother's role. Right. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. I don't need a man stepping into a woman's role unless it's life or death. Right. And right now we have far too many men operating like women to be talking about men breastfeeding. That's all I'm saying. My point was that's not a conversation Brian wants to have.
I got you.
Because Brian sees too many feminine men. You understand?
100%.
So I don't want to talk about it. Now, we could talk about it. I'm just not going to be part of the conversation because when I start talking about it, I'm not going to be on the side of agreeing with men breastfeeding.
Listen, two things. So diapers and wipes game. Look, throw your name up there, my brother, so I can know you are. If you come back through, so you have to talk about it because the younger generation is having those conversations before they become men. They are boys, and as boys, they're exposed to it.
Right.
I'm with you.
So it's important for us to have a conversation about what a man's role is.
Right. 100%.
Not a man who's not sure about his identity. Let's make sure that we understand and teach our young men what it is to be men.
Right. So we don't talk about
I'm with you on that 100%. My mind was blown by because I never
just heard of it. Right.
I know scientifically you were like, man, that's curious, and that's why I said like, Google it.
Hey, I'm talking about like what's the day? The 20th of September. I had never even.
You were today. You
were 8 years old when I found out.
I was 48 years old before I even heard about it.
It's rare, bro. I mean, honestly, if you look at it scientifically, it's rare because to Carl's point, we have all the stuff. We don't have everything.
Yeah.
Right. But we have enough to make it possible. Right. But we weren't designed to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and like when he brought up the mammal thing, I'm thinking about. I'm not just thinking about humans. I'm thinking about other mammals that is always a female and a male. Mm-hmm. Lion, female, lion, male, and if the male lion can breastfeed, also, I'm like, it was just running in my head like that's possible. So yeah, today, September 20th, 2022, mind blown. Bam.
All right, guys, we can go roll up out of here. Oh, these kids are more knowledgeable. Yes, indeed, diapers and wipes. So these kids are more knowledgeable than we are. It's rare to us, but the white coach is on it, right? All right, so we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be safe.
Appreciate that, brother. Call.
Yes, indeed. 988 if you're having a mental health crisis, someone you know or your loved one, or if you're going through something, dial 988. Brother Carl, appreciate you for coming through. Thank you for lighting the fire, kind of like, giving us a different perspective. All right, so we'll see you guys same time, same channel. Be safe. Know that we love you. Jesus loves you more. See you in the AM.